YouTube, Rook here from Rook Geek Goodness, my little channel on the web for all things geeky and cool. Welcome back, guys, to another Funko review. We're doing a little bit different sort of pop right now. I picked this guy up prior to all of the craziness that has happened to us in the last month or so. We're talking about, of course, a very, very cool Star Wars pop. We're talking about the lights and sound Darth Vader. I talked about him on a recent stream. Very, very cool looking pop. And when we unbox it, I want to compare it to some other sort of items would kind of take precedence of what this is coming from. I would think of like this as an amalgam of other things that both Star Wars and other Funko Pops have done to get to this level. One thing we'll talk about when we go to the breakdown segment is the packaging is a little bit different than your standard Funko box, and I like the way it looks. But this is, of course, a different sort of review because I'm not shooting it like I normally would in my studio. I'm shooting it at my computer. It's a little bit easier for me to shoot only because I have all my stuff from my work station behind me, and it's much more difficult to break the entire setup down and put it back up again when I'm done, as opposed to just shoot it as I'm shooting it for you guys right now. So that being said, guys, let's go to a breakdown segment and take a look at the Star Wars Darth Vader Lights and Sound Pop number 343. Alright guys, we're in a breakdown segment looking at the Star Wars Pop number 343, the Darth Vader's Lights and Sound packaging. And the very first thing we do in a breakdown segment is look at the packaging and presentation. This is a completely different box than we're normally seeing for Star Wars Pops. Normally they're white with some black side panels and the black on the back of the packaging. This is an all black box. This kind of feels like the Batman 80th anniversary packaging with the different kind of inlay they have here as far as the color goes. It's not gold inlay for the Batman Pops. These are more silver for this one. This is what they call a lights and sound gimmick. We'll talk about that momentarily. Let's look at the packaging first. You have Pops listed here. Star Wars number 343. You have lights and sound listed here. Darth Vader. A nice shot of him right here. A great window box display of Vader himself. This is not an exclusive. Mind you, I'll repeat that. This is not an exclusive pop. You could have gotten this pop anywhere would have sold Star Wars Pops. But the real weird thing about this pop is I haven't seen it in many places. I saw it in Barnes & Nobles where I picked this guy up. I know that GameStop was selling it as well, but I didn't see it at any GameStops by me. I got it at Barnes & Nobles like I just said. Over here, a side shot of what it looks like when you pull Vader out of the packaging. The side over here has Vader with sort of the silver inlay, which we saw before. Number 343 right here. Nice shot of Vader. Right, let's get to it right. Let's get to it right there, 343. And the back here showcases some write-ups of Darth Vader. And this little gimmick here, read it right here, tells you how the lights and sounds work for this guy because he's not your traditional Funko Pop, and we'll mention that shortly. But I want to compare this to another pop, and that's the Avengers Iron Man number 380 Walgreens exclusive, because this is kind of going from this to this sort of gimmick here. That's what I'm getting at, because this has a light up gimmick, and I'll showcase that right now for you. I haven't reviewed this guy, but if you look here, there's a hole right here. It's a try me feature. If you click the little button, which is right here, there's a little knob right here, you click it, and the blaster lights up, the arc reactor lights up, and his eyes light up. For momentarily, I'll do it again so you can see it. It's a very, very cool little feature, but I think that's sort of the evolution to get to this, where this Vader pop is right here. So I wanted to kind of show the evolution of the packaging going from a light gimmick to what they call a light and sound gimmick, which we'll talk about that momentarily. Let me get this guy out of package so I can really showcase it for you guys. All right, guys, we have our Star Wars Darth Vader with the lights and sound gimmick out of packaging. And the very first thing we do when we take a pop out of packaging is look at the paint and articulation. But I'm going to take a step back momentarily. I want to focus first on the base. This looks like a typical Star Wars base until you really take a closer look at it. It's a little bit different than your traditional Star Wars bases for pops we've seen in the past. Let's take a look at one that's a little bit older. I grabbed this one off my shelf as a reference, which is the Walgreens exclusive Boba-Fett, the white prototype armor. This is an older version of a Star Wars pop because you can remove it from the base. This is a double peg point right there in the feet. You can see 2 points right there. You just simply attach it and it fits on the peg like that, on the stand like that. Very simple. This is an older Walgreens one. The older Star Wars pops you could remove from the base. But if you notice here, around the outside of the base, it's all solid. And I wanted to get to this point right here is that there's sort of detail, there's texture, there's groove, there's 2 grooves that run around the entire base of this Darth Vader pop, around the entire circumference. You cannot remove it, as I just mentioned before. The first, let's take a look at that head sculpt. Very, very cool version of Vader. He is a bobblehead. I've talked about before. I'm not a big fan of bobbleheads because mainly you can mess the spring up. And this one is even more so, and I'll focus on that momentarily. The cool, very cool Vader body looks very, very good. Hopefully my camera will focus so you can see all the detail. There we go. The kind of respirator, the lightsaber, which looks a little bit too big for his hand. but it is a clear blade right here, which is part of the light up gimmick, which we'll talk about that momentarily. If you notice the head, the neck joint right here is very, very big. It's big that way, and above it is where the spring would be for the bobble function, but it has to be this way for the light up gimmick. That's how you activate it. On the very, very bottom, there are these little rivets you can see right here, which are, if you look, there's kind of a stand where it stands, so it kind of stands a little higher because these little divots. There's screw points in those little divots that kind of hide the crimes, if you will. And also there was a try me tab where you have to pull this out to activate the batteries. It does come with instructions how to do this. I'm not going to bore you with it. It just tells you how to replace the batteries. They're like watch batteries. So if you have your typical watch batteries, the small ones, you can replace it to put them in here. Not that difficult. You just unscrew this little point right here to take it off. There is a speaker right here. So let's get into the lights and sound, because that's what you guys want to hear and see. Very, very cool effects. All you do is you push the head down. I think there's 2 or 3 light up sound and gimmick effects. So let's take a look at it right now. First time, you're here to push the head down. Very cool. If you notice, the bottom lights up. Orange effect. Very, very neat. Push it again. You get Vader breathing. If you notice here, the chest is lit up. Very, very cool effect. Love the way that looks. If you know, I'll take him back a little bit because the saber is bright red. But he's glowing even more on my camera right now. So the blade does glow. So we have 2 effects here. So you have the lightsaber effect. And it coordinates with the chest color. And if you notice, that does glow there too. I love the way that looks. If you see him bobbling like crazy, orange effect. Do it one more time. So the lights and sound is very, very cool. It doesn't come across very well on camera, but in person, when you look at it, it's very, very, very neat. It's a very, very cool gimmick. They've made one other one in the Star Wars line like this one, and they made a Kylo Ren. He only has, I think, one effect, and it's the crackling saber. Very similar base. The base design here is very, very similar with the orange light. It's in here and by his feet. So you have the outer ring and the inner ring both glow. Very, very, very neat pop. I think it's very, very cool. Price point, you might be asking yourself, Rook, how much does this thing cost? Not super expensive. We're talking your price of your standard exclusive, let's say, Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con pop, in the standard size, you're looking at $15. It's not a very pricey pop. I do like the price point is very affordable, and I think anyone who's a fan of Star Wars, fan of Vader, you might want to look about getting hold of this pop, especially if you don't have a Vader. This might be a perfect jumping on point to get maybe into Funko and maybe to get a very, very cool Funko Pop. Let's talk about final thoughts and wrap up this video. All right, guys, final thoughts on Pop number 343, Darth Vader with the lights and sound gimmick. Should you buy this guy? Is it worth your $15? I think it is. I think it really is worth your money, especially if you don't have a lot of Vaders. You're maybe breaking into Star Wars Pop collecting. You want a really, really solid Darth Vader. It has a little bit more of a gimmick, a little more punch in your traditional Darth Vader, or more traditional, let's say, exclusive, or even non-exclusive Star Wars Pop. This might be up your alley with a different base compared to, let's say, the Boba Fett here. The Vader Pop here has the lights and sound gimmick, which is what the selling point is, in my personal opinion. This is the reason why you buy this Pop, for the lights and sound gimmick. The really cool base. Yes, he cannot come off the base. Yes, he has a higher neck post because of the lights and sound gimmick when we push the head down. But in my personal opinion, well worth the money. If you're looking for a very, very good Darth Vader Pop, definitely you should pick this Pop up and add it to your collection. So I hope you do like this review of Star Wars Pop 343, Darth Vader with the lights and sound gimmick. Remember to click the like button on the page, click the subscribe button with a picture of my face. When you subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon to notify latest videos. And of course, last but not least, you can click Windows over here to watch more of my content. Take care, guys. See you next video. And bye-bye.